Good morning, everyone. Today, the topic of my presentation is mating behavior of Abdopus aculeatus in the wild. The Abdopus aculeatus is kind of a small octopus, which its mantle can only grow to 7 centimeters, and this part is its mantle. And this octopus is good at mimicking. Mimicking means imitating, like this picture. This octopus will fuse itself into the environment. You can see it makes itself like algae, so that's why we call it algae octopus. And how do octopus have sex? Male octopus have a special tentacle, which we call it Abdopus, but we can just make it simple, call it mating arm. It was on the third tentacle of right side of his body, and he will extend his mating arm into female oviduct. Female oviduct is a female sex organ which contains eggs in there. So the male will extend his mating arm into the oviduct and inject the sperm so they can have babies. And the algae octopus have the most complicated mating behavior, which separate into four behavior. And let me just introduce first two kinds. First is adjacent guarding and temporarily guarding. Adjacent means nearby. When two hot octopus was behaving in adjacent guarding, their dens are really close, and the male will protect female. You can imagine that there are a couple, and the husband gets jealous very easily, so he have to keep other male away from his wife and avoid his wife cheating on him. So the male will keep protect female, and they will mate repeatedly in weeks. And temporarily guarding, major difference between from the adjacent guarding is that their dens are not so close. So they sometimes guarding each other, but sometimes they are not. And this picture shows the typical type of adjacent guarding. You can see the males, their dens are close enough for male to extend its mating arm into female's den, so they are having sex. And next is transient. Transient means moment, and it's like there's a single octopus, and he mates with a non-guarded female. So this single octopus just walking on the street and bump into a single female. So there's a spark, and they just having sex. After that, they will just leave. So no one will guard each other. So it's like octopus one night stay. And next is sneakers. Sneakers is a really special case that the male will mate with a guarded female. What does that mean? Because the female octopus, they are not loyal. They can have a lot of mates at the same time. So the sneakers will hide themselves and sneaky mating with the female. So it's almost crisis because your wife is cheating on you and you don't know. And this is behavioral category. The experiment was take place in these three stations during 2001 to 2002. And the method we use is focal animal observation. Focal animal observation is that we identified every individual, and we found that there's 167 individuals in total, and we identified those octopus by the size and the injury or the den location. So we just know every octopus, and we find that there's 9 adjacent guarding pair and 6 temporary guarding pair, 10 transient male and 8 transient female. And we focus on two octopus interaction, like approach, retreat, touch with non-mating arm, extension, insertion, withdrawal of mating arm, and also mating rejection, and grapple means they fight together. And next is the purpose. Our purpose is we want to know the precopulatory mate choice. We want to know the standard of the female octopus choosing their couple. And second is differential copulation rate by using different mating tactics. We want to know whether the different mating tactics they use will affect the time of the mating. And third is distant sex identification. We want to know octopus can distinguish the different gender. So let's see the result. And first is adjacent guarding. And we found that 3 adjacent guarding and 3 temporarily guarding, they mating in transient situation when they are forages alone. So that means that the octopus will switch its mating behavior. They won't remain into same behavior. They will change it, depends on the environment or the situation. And next is how the sneaker mating. So how the sneaker mating? First, they will hide themselves behind the feature because they want to be out of the adjacent guarding male's view. Because if they've been caught, they will be taken away, so out of view. And second, they will show out acute crisis. Acute crisis is a kind of mimicking pattern. They will make themselves more invisible. Show up and hide behind some feature. And third, they will slowly approach the female and sneaky mating with it. And also, we found out that all sneakers are same size or even smaller than adjacent guarding male. And 2 or 3 cases, they find the sneakers was be caught and retreated, means they failed to steal outer's wife. And next is copulation rate. We found that the copulation rate is average into 4.8 minutes in duration. And you can see this figure. The axis is the female size. This is female. And the y-axis is daily copulation rate. And the triangle and the circle, this pattern are different tactics they use. And you can see there is no certain rule into this picture. And so does male daily copulation rate. So you can see the different tactics they use, and the time is a kind of randomly. So you can see that the copulation rate are not related to the size or tactics they use. And next is mate rejection. And you can see this is different tactics they use, and the rejection rates they fall into the same. So we can note that the female accept nearly every opportunity to have sex. So they did not reject the female based on the different mating tactics they use, which is really good news for you guys. And next is male-male mate competition. We find that most male-male competition occurs because they are fighting for female. It's kind of interesting because humans did the same thing, you know. And the guarding male, he have to chase, whip or grapple, whatever, chase the small intruder like those sneaker away. They have to chase 0 to 4 male per day. He's really busy, and the sneakers they only fight when they be caught by a guarding male. And next is sex identification, and we want to know if they can identify the different gender. So algae octopus is shallow water octopus, and it has a really good visual ability. So they can just watch, or they can also detect chemical signal. But you might ask, where did they watch? They watch BWS. Male octopus, he have a special feature. We call it BWS. It's white background with dark stripes on the mantle, and it really sounds difficult, but it's just these patterns on his mantle. And when 2 octopus meet, the male will show its BWS. So the female can see, oh, it's hot, yeah. But the problem is, we do not know the BWS serve to send male sex messages, or it just reflected arousal when another octopus presents. Because male tend to show the BWS whenever what gender of the octopus they meet. So we don't know if the BWS is send any sex messages. And next is directly assess. When 2 octopus meet each other, they will first detect the gender And the male will find out, oh, there's coming Abdopus is the female. So he tend to touch her with the mating arm. And mostly they will have sex. But when the male Abdopus found that, oh, the coming Abdopus is the male, they seldom touch each other. Once they touch, they use non-mating arm. And when they touch, it's easily to cause grappling. Finally, we get to the conclusion. We want to know the first copulatory mate choice. We found that the octopus are not picky and they don't pick their mate based on the size or the tactics they use. And we found that the copulation rate are not related to the mating tactics. And finally, the distance sex identification, yes, they do identify and they can use chemical clues or visual ability like watch the BWS. Thank you, everyone.